Hey everyone, welcome to our show. And this is our first episode of Pathfinders podcast. That's what we're calling it. Today we're excited to have Atal Agarwal with us, an exceptional individual whose life story is as inspiring as it is, and it is very diverse. Starting at IIT Kharagpur, one of India's premier engineering institutes, he ventured to the US, pursued a master's degree, followed by securing a H-1B work visa to work for the multinationals in the Bay Area. But his achievements don't stop at professional milestones. He's also an Ironman Championship finisher, pushing his limits in one of the world's most demanding athletic events. More than just overcoming personal and professional challenges, he's passionate about helping others navigate their paths, especially when it comes to immigration and freedom. He founded OpenSphere, a company dedicated to assisting immigrants as they make their new life in a new country. Today, we'll dive into his journey, explore how his experience shaped his mission to support the immigrant community. Welcome, Atul. It's wonderful to have you with us today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Vijay, for having me. Glad to be on your first podcast. It's always fun to be invited to someone's podcast as the first guest. It means you saw something in me and you were like, hey, I should have a conversation which should go on record. So, very grateful to be here. And I think this is like more of a very much of a conversation between us as we were like just like discussing about some things that are very important to you and me both, which is about freedom and able to live dreams. And I think probably you struggled through it at some point, and that's why you have so much passion towards it. And for me, it's a very similar journey. I struggled through it, and I was like, this problem should be solved, and I should be contributing to this cause, which led me to start working on this OpenSphere, the company to help people navigate their global mobility. So, yeah, very excited to be here with you on this show and sharing
Yeah.
about all the adventures.
No. Thank you, man. I know for anyone who's listening, this is not our first conversation. We already had a good conversation a couple months ago, and it's always intriguing. And Atul is a great writer, and he has a ton of story to tell. And I'm so passionate, especially about the freedom and immigration part. And there's so much dreams in people's minds, and like people plan their careers, and they uproot themselves and come from a different country all the way to US, and they go through a lot, right? I mean, before we enter any of that, why don't you get into your journey a little bit, of from your journey from India, and little bit, and then probably give us a background of like why America, and like, and let's jump on the conversation from there. Yeah.
Definitely happy to share. I think from my perspective, I just feel like the whole planet is mine. And when I say this whole planet is mine, I just look at it as like all 8 billion people are mine. Now I gotta figure out how to navigate this and make sure all 8 billion people are able to find their freedom and able to live their dreams. And I think maybe like, this is very much about what I learned early in my life about one consciousness. We are all together. If we can communicate with each other and understand each other, there is something which is bringing us in the same zone. Like we can share our consciousness. Like the way I look at it is like when I talk to someone who can't even speak my language and they would not understand my language, but just even through non-verbal cues like my smile or just being able to feel empathy and love in the heart, you can still connect with people. Like you don't even need to speak the same language. And I'm like, wow, this is just like, shows the brilliance of our consciousness, that it doesn't need to be even through words and language. It can be felt by people around the world. My story just like originated from India. I was born and brought up in a small village in near New Delhi. It's called as Rampur. Definitely not a big town, and my family definitely wasn't very rich. So definitely struggled through a lot of things, especially my dad, who sometimes we had a lot of struggle to pay my education in high school and even earlier than that. And I was like, why do I have to struggle? And my dad was like, you should study better, So
Right.
somehow all those things aligned. My dad said that if you get into IIT, then your life is pretty set. I think he was wrong at it. Life did not get
Right.
easy either, but I think he was right in the fact that getting into IIT would at least get you company of some of the smartest people on the planet, where you would be able to learn from them on how to navigate life better. So I got very lucky there to be able to get into IIT. Then, as I expected, I was like, now I'm free. My dad is not going to say anything. And I just like started enjoying my freedom at IIT campus, doing things that I cared about. It's from a journey of someone who didn't know how to speak in English and didn't know what I wanted to do when I joined engineering. I ended up becoming the college student president there, and one with one of the highest margin in the history, which is very different from what I signed up for. But it's just a journey of exploration and self-expression in ways that come naturally to me, and getting closer to my truth, my own divine truth, and being able to slowly navigate in that direction. When I came to US, definitely wasn't looking at it like more from a perspective of what I want to be, more of let's let it flow, we will see where it will go. And more of like just a journey of seeking truth and coming here for more knowledge. um, Now it's been 7 years in the US, and I am looking like it's like I'm ready to get back on the trail again and start my travels of as a world explorer and continue seeking the truth. I don't know where I'm going, and I enjoy a lot of uncertainty in life. It kind of brings a little
Right.
different kind of adrenaline in me, and I will get to know where this is going. But I feel like the journey is what matters to me, and I mean, every day I do my work and put my effort, and I'm getting to a better place every day. So that's kind of pretty much about my
No, no, that's
like.
no, that's so amazing. Nicely said. I know US is a magnet. It kind of gets the best talent from everywhere around the globe. I so see it. But like, what was your motivation? Why America? There are so many other countries you would have gone. Why America in particular?
Definitely, I think there is a big story here on how America came as a magnet to meet you, years ago. So I was in, as I was like telling you, I became the college student president. So when I became the college student president, one of the very successful alumni from my college, his name is Vinod Gupta. He came on a visit to the college, and I didn't know about him other than the fact that he's from the same hostel as I am, and there's a school in his name in our campus called as Vinod Gupta School of Management, and he has given like more than $50 million by now to IIT Kharagpur, and he came on a visit. I don't know if I told you this story. It's a very interesting story. So he came on a visit, and my warden of my hostel said, "Hey, Mr. Vinod Gupta is coming, and he wants to meet the college president." And I was like, "Sir, definitely, I would like to meet him. I'm like a kid in the college, and I'm like, I would love to meet him." So the warden emailed Vinod Gupta that, "Sir, this year the college president is from our hostel, and he is here, and I want him to be there." And Vinod Gupta said, "Fantastic, have him meet me at the hostel." As Vinod Gupta came, and I just had an introduction with him, and I said, "Sir, I'm Atal, nice to meet you. Thank you for everything you do." He said, "Oh, so you are the newly elected vice president. I have a gift for you." And I was like, "Holy cow, I mean, I don't know this guy at all." And I just know that he's one of the most successful alumni from my college. He has every award, everything he has done already. So I was like, wow, this is great. And from his backpack, he took out an iPhone and he gave it to me.
Wow.
This is 2015. He does not know me. He just knows I'm the college president. And he's like, "I have a gift for you." And he gave me that iPhone. You won't believe, I was shocked in that moment. I was shocked about the fact that someone I don't know just gifted me an iPhone. And I was like, "Sir, I don't want this." And it's kind of funny. I gave it to my friend. Like, so as he gave me this iPhone, I took it from him. Then he's like, "Yo, no, this is for you." I'm like, "Thank you, sir." And immediately gave it to my friend. I'm like, "Bro, I don't need this. You keep it." He was like my senior, and I was like, "This guy has been so inspirational in my life, and he has helped me so much in winning the elections." So I kind of gave the iPhone to him, and he's like, "No, no, no, bro, this is for you. You gotta keep it." So I still remember that moment where in my life, in my story, I kind of had nothing, and he gave me this iPhone without knowing much about me, and that was like the how it started. Now, I spent that day with him. I showed him the campus. We went around. And then I was like so grateful that I got a chance to meet him. And I should have sent him a thank you email for, getting this iPhone as a gift. It's kind of funny. I was like very busy in my college activities. And then 2 days later, I receive an email from him saying, "Hey, it was great to meet you." I was like, I was like shocked. I'm like, this guy sent me,
From Vinod
yeah,
directly.
Vinod, yeah. I was
Yeah.
like shocked. I was like, wow, this guy sends me an email, which I should have done as a thank you. And he sends me this email. I was like really kind of like ashamed a little bit, guilty about not doing this part.
Yeah.
And he says, "Hey, great, it was me too." Then I sent him an email like, "Sir, thank you so much for visiting and the gift you gave and blah, blah. I was like, "Thank you, sir. And then his next email is like, "Hey, what are you doing this summer? Come to US and work with us." And I was like, well, I didn't have an internship planned for myself. So I was like, "Sir, I will come any day to America for my summer internship." So he invited me and he got my visa and everything processed very quickly in his company. It was based in Omaha, Nebraska. And I came to Omaha, Nebraska, first visit to America. I was very, very excited. And I was like, wow, I'm getting a chance to explore this. Now, that is how I got the first experience of America. And it's very interesting that I had a great time in Omaha, Nebraska. And I was like, wow, these people are great. I learned a lot from that college there. And I was like, wow, the infrastructure at the college is so amazing, so high class. And it's somehow after like 1 year, like after I went back to campus, I stayed back in campus. And after 2 years, when I was like graduating, is when he said, "Hey, what are you doing for after this?" And I was like, "I don't want to do a job for sure." I was like very clear at that time. And I was thinking of doing my startup in Bangalore. That was my plan after finishing my undergrad. But at the same time, I'm very much in the moment kind of person. So I didn't really have an idea what I want to do after college. But one thing was clear: I don't want to do a job. So I was like literally in kind of like February, March, graduating in May. No plan, nothing, no applied, nothing, nowhere. And then
This
he
was
said,
when? This was 2014 or
this was 2017.
2017. Got it.
2017. And February, March, when I was like just having an email conversation, and he said, "How about you apply for masters? I will give you recommendation and I will help sponsor some of your expenses." And I was like, first of all, I was like, I don't have a good GPA. Would I even make it through, to master's admission? But then I'm like, okay, he's giving recommendation. So maybe I might actually make it through. But then I was also very much about having a good time than anything else. So I was like, if I'm going to apply, I better go to a place that I like. If the course is not
Right.
good, I will have at least a good time. So I applied to UC Santa Barbara and Stanford. And I'm like, UC Santa Barbara, if the course is not good, I would still have a great time on the beach. Um, and I ended up flying in March very quickly without much prep. I made it to UC Santa Barbara, and I'm like, okay, sure, I will take that offer. And he helped sponsor some of my masters, which I'm very grateful to him. And that's how I actually got to this magnet, America, that attracts the whole
No,
world
no.
and some of the best people from
No,
everywhere.
no, it always does. I mean, like you, so true. I mean, like meeting across people. I myself have lived in 14 different cities so far. I've met so many different people, not India, Asian, like every kind, right? You would have met like you get to meet so many people, and especially doing this business and networking and talking to people. I think all people just want very simple. They want a stable life
Mhm.
and warm food for their dinner or lunch, and like they want a good place to live. That's about it.
Yeah,
And I think America in terms of what it offers, I mean, like I've going back to what 1776 and what forefathers founded America on. That's, I mean, I'm a super fan of that. The
yeah, yeah.
first and second, I'm like, yeah, I'm a super fan of the forefather founding of it. But anyway, so you spoke of Nebraska, Omaha. Like I lived in like Des Moines, Iowa. I don't know. It's pretty
Oh,
close. Three,
nice.
four
It's
hours. Yeah,
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 it's
yeah.
close. Yeah,
Yeah, I ended up being in West Des Moines for about like 4 or 5 months initially. That was my first job in the U.S. I didn't come here to study. I traveled initially through my company at the time, and like did like America and wanted to explore it. And I got an opportunity, and that's how I came. I didn't come here to study, but I came and found out, okay, fine, it's amazing. And and after 1 or 2 years down the line, that's when something hit me really strong. Okay, so what is going to happen for the next 10 years? What is going to happen for the next 5 years? And a lot of
Mhm.
questions started popping. And at the time in my journey, I had my family, my kid along with us. So there were a lot of open-ended questions. So in your journey, I'm happy to talk about it. But in your journey, what happened? So you came in 2017
Mhm.
or afterwards, and like what happened then? And then when did it hit you really strong, and something would have triggered, right?
Yeah, I think maybe I was just, because I'm usually in the moment. I think I was very much in the moment once I came here, and I was like, wow, I can do anything I want now. I'm in a new country, America, and UC Santa Barbara, and I was enjoying my life. And I was very passionate about building my startup after graduation too. It's kind of funny. Maybe my favorite job actually to experience in that day, which I really wanted to have an experience, is I enjoy service. I find joy in service. So one of the things that I was very interested in is I want to work at McDonald's and actually serve burgers to people. And I would just learn about how to actually be, just like experience of working in that system. And once I came to US, they told me you can't do this on a visa. And I was like, well, here's where you just like, people are fascinated by different things. I mean, for
Getting warmed up.
yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever, I'm like, okay, not crazy about working in McDonald's, but from my perspective, it was something, my kind of part of my joy that I wanted to enjoy. So that didn't work out. But then after graduation, I was like, I want to build a startup. So I started working on my startup, and as I was working on my startup, we did raise some money. But I mean, I realized every day I have to think about immigration, because if I don't raise more money on time, then I can't even live in the place I'm living. Because if you don't have money to be able to keep your immigration going and show to the government that you can sustain, you are out. And I was like, building a startup is very hard. So my ability to take risk actually kind of was very down at that time. And I was like, okay, let's take a job at that time. And I ended up taking a job in product management. And I was like, okay, let's get H1B. And I was like, that's going to be better, because after my STEM OPT, I'm out of F1 and I can have H1B. And then I was like, okay, that's going to be a better
The
path.
path to green card.
Yeah,
The
I'm
path
at path to green card. I didn't know about these numbers of years and this and that. No idea, no clue. Once I'm on H1B, I started realizing that, okay, H1B is good for a little bit, but I want to build my company in a better way. I want to build my startup. But then I was like, I got to get a green card for that. And somehow I was like, okay, let's apply for perm. Let's have that for the safe side. Perm is like, you can extend your H1B unlimited and you can keep it on the side, and then you can keep working on your startup. It's kind of funny. Like, I mean, I enjoyed corporate life when I joined it. I built great products. I was very obsessed with some of the products that I built. I would work like crazy 18 hours a day just because I was into it. And I'm like a very obsessive guy. If I like something, I'm in it. So I had great time building products, but after a while I was realizing that I want to have my freedom and be able to do what I want to do outside of this too. Um, so when my last company, eHealth, kind of like was applying for my perm, I was like very happy. Perm is gonna go through. It took a while for perm to actually process, and then one day my company went through first round of layoff, and a lot of my people from my company were laid off. Now, when that happened, I was like, I got saved at that time, and I was like, well, I gotta get my perm together very quickly, and I reached out to the lawyer and I'm like, hey, my company went through a layoff. I want my perm. Tell me what is the next step. Then the lawyer said that we cannot get you the perm because the company just went through a layoff and one of the person from the same role as you was eliminated. So we have to delay your perm filing. And that's where I'm like, holy cow. First of all, I got saved and I got lucky here. Then I'm also not able to get my perm quickly. So I was like feeling a little bit of like this is not right. Then my company went through a second round of layoff, and I got laid off. And that's where I was like, well, this was kind of just like how the industry was going. I was like, well, I can't help this. I shouldn't take it on myself. And I kind of thrive sometimes in uncertainty, so I've started liking uncertainties. At that moment, I was like, okay, I'm going back to India. I kind of made up in my mind, I'm going back to India. Here, let's do all the things I
And
want to
what
do.
year is this? This is like 2020 or
This
during
is
COVID or?
2021. Yeah, 2021 actually.
Got it. Got it.
No, no, actually, sorry, it's 2022. So it's like 1.5 year. Yeah, it's been 1.5 years. So it's like 2022 November. So I went through that layoff and I was like, well, I'm going back to India. And I was like, let me do everything I want to do for 60 days. So that's the one of the few times in my life in America I felt free, because I was like, now I'm nothing to hold on to here.
Anyway, I could go back. So yeah.
Yeah, I can go back. And I was like, I'm not, a lot of people do feel, probably because of perception around America, that, you lose something when you move back to India. But for me, I don't take these
Oh,
perceptions. I'm like defining my own life, and my life is a journey more than one specific thing. So I was like, also started learning about immigration, and I'm like, actually, I want to share more about it. So I started writing blogs about my immigration, and I wrote these blogs of like day 0 of 60 of layoff. How did I survive? Day 1 of 60, the sun showed up and so did I. So I started writing this
yeah.
journey of like blogs on an everyday basis, and my following for blogs started increasing. So I was like, wow, this is like really fun. From here, this person who got laid off and like building a life on layoff now. Then I was like, what else do I want to do before I leave? So I signed up for an Ironman race 10 days before the race. I was not trained for it, but I was like, if I'm going to leave, I might just take my shot. What will happen? In the worst case scenario, I do half of the race and then come back home and I would be like, okay, I did half. So I was not driven by like finishing it. I was driven by like giving my shot. So I signed up for this Ironman Arizona race, which was the last one in the year. And I had to raise money to be able to participate because it was house full. And I was not trained with swimming or anything. And I had incidents of bad swimming incidents in the past. But I was like, I want to take my shot, before I leave
Yeah.
back to India.
Why
So I
not?
ended up finishing that Ironman race on around day 20 of my layoff. And then one of an employer, the company that hired me at that time, the manager just really loved my blogs. She read through the blogs and she was like, beautiful. Like, she really wanted to help me. So she just went through all the process and very fast in getting me the job offer. And she's like, we will figure out your H1B. And I got that job. And I'm like, okay, well, then I can stay. But I think there was this at that time I kind of felt like, well, this is not right. You can't do this to a person who has been doing great work for your country, giving his labor,
Yeah.
giving his taxes,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
you're like treating me as like an outsider, and I build my
Just
life.
doesn't add up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's just like, that's just, I think I'm never gonna deny in my life, it did hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
No,
did
no,
hurt.
I
Yeah.
it, because like when we spoke even the last time, and like I mean, like there are so many people at the time when I was at MD,
Yeah.
and all they would think is about two things. One is about putting up with the office, putting up with the job, which is by a job itself, and
Yeah.
this, they have a second job, an untold job, is keeping up with immigration, right? I mean, like where is your process? Where is your I-140? Where is your 797? And all these, like and you know what I'm talking about. So you have to continuously keep up with it. And then in my personal case, my wife's grandfather, he expired, but we couldn't go. I mean, like, this is not a news story that you're hearing for the first time. So many people had to make so many sacrifices. But what really puzzled me in this whole journey is like I ended up meeting so many people in the US, and people are really wonderful, like beautiful people I've met, like not just US, even across, even around the world. Like people ended up being really good people, really beautiful, and I don't think they intend any of the suffering that we are talking about, right? And the HR person that you're talking about, the hiring manager you're talking about, when they see something like this, when they see something that it doesn't make sense, it doesn't add up, and why is it actually happening? It's most of the time it's news to them,
Correct.
right? It's like, oh, they're probably hearing about it for the first or second time, and they're not really sure why is it happening. And if you ask me what is the permanent residency process to India is, I don't know, right? What is the citizenship process to India? I don't know. I think it is the very same experience for people here living in the West, and they are puzzled and they're kind of like amazed at how it all works, like this crazy complex ecosystem that it is.
Well, just to
And
just mention this here, for
yeah,
if a US citizen right now wants an Indian citizenship, it's 10 years. When an Indian wants a US citizenship, it's 100 years. I think that is, I mean, because the
wow.
laws are just designed differently.
It's so unreal, and it couldn't believe actually, and all the, I mean, like, yeah, we have a problem. Yes, the country cap and all that. We yes, it is a huge problem to anyone who is listening. There is a country cap, and the green cards are offered, I think, 7% by country, and
Yeah.
then
In
right, something
employment
like
based
that.
category, yeah. In employment based category is 7%. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Atal, I always wonder, like, where did it go wrong? Because like the founding fathers of US, right,
Mhm.
and 2024 right now, and because their intention seems to be very noble, right? Because from in terms of freedom of speech, freedom of press, in terms of like how property rights should work in America, how capitalism should work, I think they really had noble thoughts and noble ideas between 1776 and 2024. What do you think happened? Where did it go wrong?
Um, I think it's kind of, I have a very strong opinion about it. I think
No,
they
go for
missed
it.
a point. Like, I think I'm, it's kind of very funny for me to say it. I'm like literally no one, and I'm like here saying about someone who is like at the top of the top, who has been some of the best human beings on the planet. And I am nowhere close to it. But I think they missed a very important point in the Constitution that should have been there, which is about what will happen to people who will come from outside legally. What will happen to people who will be able to get into America. So as of now, yes, American Constitution is about everything within the American jurisdiction. And yes, asylum is also a legal way of immigrating here, that is like known legal way. And coming legally for jobs is also another legal way. What they did not do is like they did not mention anything about what will happen to people who are here legally. And that's the cause of this suffering of legal immigrants and people who are crossing the border. And I mean, everywhere this is happening. If they would have considered this, then America probably would have ensured that if there are borders, around the corners, they are very strong borders, so that because if someone is in through the border, they are in.
Right.
It's not like you can be in, but you are not able to live the American dream. So I was just thinking about it, American Constitution talks a lot about what is the definition of American. And I think the definition of American or like American citizen is kind of misunderstood at this point. If a person who gives labor and who pays taxes, they should have, from a rule of land perspective, they should have rights over the land. And what they have mentioned is, in some form, they have touched on this who is an American kind of philosophy and who can represent America is through the selection process for a House of Representative or the Senate, which is the highest form of representation of America. They have mentioned the years, like how many years you should be living in America to become a House of Representative, or how many years you should be living in America to be a part of the Senate, or how age and also
Right.
legally, right? So when they have mentioned these things, this talks about the ethos of that they had about what is the definition of someone can represent America. Now, if that definition is 10 years for someone to be living legally in America, and there is an immigrant who is living legally for 20 plus years who does not have the same rights, that just tells you the fallback mechanism that, hey, if this person has been there for these many years, if this person can represent America as per the Senate, or on the Senate or the House of Representatives, they should be able to have permanent residency. I think that's where I would say, even though they have missed considering these people as separately, but the Constitution does have this thing very clear about what is the definition of someone representing America. So I feel that is something we should look at as like our guiding light here about what was the vision. Now, where did we lose the vision? I think we lose a lot of our vision in politics here. And politics is about being in power and being in this like search for like being in power. A lot of people do not understand that the duty is not about gaining power. The duty is to do the right
Right.
thing. And when people forget that their real duty, why they chose to be in power, I think we start going a very bad trajectory. Like, I mean, it happens with most of the people, most of the leaders, that once they get power, they stop seeking
Right.
truth. They stop doing the right thing. And once that keeps doing, then I mean, other people are also following their footstep who are taking power. And once you do not find such a person again who can fight for truth, who can stand up for truth, I mean, we keep going down. So, I mean, I think in American history, there have been a few leaders who actually kind of like, I would say, stood up for truth, who opened their heart and said, I will fight for what is right with my heart, mind, body, soul. And they did the right thing. And we are very proud of them. But I mean, I think we got to find more of such people, I
Yeah.
guess, now.
No, no, it kind of like worries me and bugs me because like I came to US with so many other dreams and like we moved to Canada. We were basically seeking certainty. I think that's what we were seeking at the point, and like not be at the mercy of your employer and the whims of the whether you're funded or not for your company. And like and if you're going to be thinking every other day, that adds a lot of like layers in what you think about, what stresses you, and things like that. Especially, I mean, I keep coming back to US and I keep visiting for business and otherwise. And then I met a cab driver. He was from Cuba, and I was in Vegas. And Vegas, as you would know, it's in between a desert, right? I mean, it's the beauty of America is how they have how capitalism can transform nothing into something great. And Vegas is one great example. So are so many other hundreds of cities in the US and elsewhere, right? And he is driving a cab and he's from Cuba. And like he was so thankful to be in the US and he so loves it. I see that energy and that Americanism, the exceptionalism so across the US. And when people so love it, like including me, even though I'm not in the US anymore, even I keep coming and I love it. I love the people and everything. But what bugs me is that when I see things like an Apple store getting stolen in Oakland, California, right? I don't know if you have seen that video. I think, I mean, like many stores like that. And people come in a store and then get like 10 or 20 iPhones and iPads and they can just steal it and run away with it. It's like open theft. And what has happened to Bay Area? I mean, what has happened to not just like that I didn't sit well with me at all. But where is because like I could see okay with immigrations there are a lot of like checks and boxes, bells and whistles that you have to go through to actually get to a green card and citizenship. Great. So, but even the citizens of America, I don't think they feel happier about any of this. And I was really worried looking for some open theft happening one of the prominent cities in the US.
Yeah, definitely. I think, by the way, I'm not a very big expert in it. I think my philosophy would be more around just like how I understand humanity, more than actually about these specific examples. But I think they come back to the same theme. Now, every human being on this planet is looking to thrive, thrive and be able to succeed and live a better life than their parents, how they lived, right? Now, thriving and happy, and those things are everyone's demand, the pursuit for happiness and what the liberty offers. What we are seeing is, I think, the rising inequalities in the world, and the rising inequalities in the world uh, are somehow to be kind of like a reason for this. um Now, all this, like all the people that are there in the US, they are all human beings, and human being can be a resource. And the same happened with India, because we have a big population, like, all this population can be a resource if the right leaders know how to utilize it. But if we do not create certain ecosystem for this population to thrive on a sustainable basis, it can go wrong in a direction which you don't want them to go. So what I think is just this rise of inequality in the world overall, with the rich getting richer, and like wealth is only with a very small certain section of people, and then you have the most of the population which is not able to know how to thrive. The decrease or the collapse of middle class in America, where there are a few people who are like, let's say, poor or middle class, who can be like through innovation succeed and go very high. And that's, we are in like a tech bubble in America for sure. There are very few people in that who are very successful, but the majority of people are not thriving. And that is a concern not just for America, I think it's a concern for the whole world. Until the majority of the people start thriving, we are all in a mess.
I agree.
um, the way I look at it works is, you know, the rich are in their castle, as long as poor people are also feeling like they're thriving in some form. Because if poor people are not thriving at all and they don't see a future for them and they lose hope, that's where the crimes increase in a society. It's not possible that few, like this elite mindset, maybe it's like what is called as elite. I mean, I'm not very much an expert of this, but once you have like few people who are like very much elite and everyone else is like not thriving and not able to enjoy those things, then people are like, hey, I don't have a chance in that game. I want to play that game, but I don't have a chance. And when people are like, I don't have a chance, then they go all the wrong ways about stealing or being on the road or crime. And I think if you ask me from a responsibility perspective, the responsibility does lie on the shoulders of the people who are rich and intelligent and conscious about it, to think through solution to these problems so that more of the human population on the planet can thrive.
Okay, no, okay, no. Thanks for sharing that. That's because that is something I think overall, not just U.S. I think we have that concern even in Canada, in the West, in Europe, in India. I think that's a growing problem, and the divide is real. It's not, we cannot ignore it, and we have to find a way to strike that balance, and then how we can solve it and what their needs are, and I think what the world can probably offer. And I'm not an expert either, but I'm very curious about a lot of things, and I pursue truth like none other. So I'm passionate about seeking truth and what's really happening around the world. I think what human needs is an opportunity, right? I mean, many people around the world, I don't think they get an opportunity. I mean, we got an opportunity to be here, and like we are talking about it and things like that. And millions of others didn't get such opportunity, right? I mean, so I think opportunity is one, and the second thing is like what people make of that opportunity, right? And that's what it is. You got 20 days, and you could have been depressed and sad and not do anything. Instead, you chose to go run an Ironman race in Arizona, and then you have a story to tell now, right? I think that's how we capitalize on the app opportunity that people get, and I think that is needs to be reinstated from schools and from every part of the institution across different countries and then especially in struggling communities where we see that. Right. So recently, I mean, like you and I, we started chatting about El Salvador. I've been watching Nayib Bukele, and I've have heard about El Salvador previously in phrases, and even before stepping into El Salvador. One important question I wanted to understand is like, I think a lot of these things, and especially I think you relate to that, is in terms of like quote unquote freedom, right? I mean, freedom and liberty. What does that freedom mean to an individual, and what does that mean to a country, right? I mean, like, so if we can talk about it, then maybe we will jump on to the El Salvador topic, which I'm really fascinated to get into.
Yeah, definitely. I think from my perspective, freedom to me means I'm able to pursue those opportunities that I want to pursue, um, without concern about the intervention of the state in any form. And uh, and that is more around like, can I pursue those opportunities across the planet? And if as a high skilled person who came on merit to America, I'm not able to pursue that, then I think I can't expect other people to be able to not able to perceive it either. I feel like if I'm not able to do it, that means a lot more people are not able to do it. And that is definitely concerning. And some people would be like, hey, you would be able to do it down the line, let's say, through getting a green card. But to me, it's like, what about now? Why am I not
Can I
able to
stop you
pursue
there
it
for a
now?
second? Because my sister, she lives
Yeah.
in the East Coast. She's in the Massachusetts, and like I asked her what a green card was. Like obviously, I have seen a picture of it, and I was really curious, right? I mean, like, show me the damn green card. How does it even look? And she showed me a piece of like this looked like a driver's license, right? Yeah, that's exactly how it looks. And like come on, are we waiting 100 years, or at the time it was probably 75 years? Are we waiting so many years, and like 50, 75 years for this ID card? Seriously, are you kidding me? I mean, sorry, I had to share that. So sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. I agree with you. I think I was like also shocked. I'm like, is this the paperwork that is defining my whole
Yeah,
future about where I can work and where I cannot work? And is this what's going to define everything about my life going forward for the rest of my life? Like 100 years is like my full life. And I'm like, is this one card that can define my entire life? I'm like, well, that does not make a lot of sense. I'm probably making some mistakes that some people made, and I just felt like maybe that is what I should pursue, and I am on the wrong track here. And now I'm like slowly breaking out of it, this system, where I'm like, maybe this is not for me, and I should find a better path for myself. More important than that, I have started learning that I should just focus on my dreams, and whichever way I'm gonna go, it has to go, and I gotta like just like allow the divine forces to show me the path, here. Because this is definitely not a path for me about waiting for a green card for a piece of paper. It's very interesting that the piece of paper has so much power, which is not how it should happen ever in the world, I guess. Given like how you gotta get to, if you don't have that paper, then you gotta have the permission from someone in power every 3 years, which is more of you pay a tax to the
yeah,
to the someone. And since it's only happening with Indians are the ones paying tax every 3 years to be able to cross that border. And this is no different than what happened in the history uh, about different people at different times in the human history, which means right now Indians are paying that tax every 3 years. And people would say, oh, no, America is the country that invited you and this and that. But I mean, they have to understand how humanity works and how it is only happening with Indians, and America is not Russia, and there is no point of comparing these different countries. India is a democracy, America is a democracy, and this is what we said that hey, we should look forward to democracy. So what you show is like a wrong path of a democracy here. So I think for me, once I started realizing these things, I'm like, wow, this piece of paper has so much of power. In a way, not able to solve this problem is an abuse of power by the people who are actually in power, and it is their duty to be actually the duty of a leader is to not hold power but to give power back, and that is the basic essence of a democracy. So that's where I'm like, there is something wrong happening, and that's how I've been advocating for
no, no, no.
this.
That's so true, man. I can't disagree. I can't agree more. So speaking of like in freedom, I think people are in search of freedom these days, and I think El Salvador probably speaks to that in what they're doing in different initiatives and things like that. And not just El Salvador, I see so many other countries, expats moving all around the globe, and especially from the West, and the cost of living, and I think they're seeking out better places. And someone says like, go where you're treated best, and I think people are free to choose where they want to go, right? So specific to El Salvador, so how was the trip and what did you learn from that?
Definitely. I think my experience in El Salvador was great. I went there mostly to understand actually the people and the culture there, and like just like understand about, can I fit into that country or not from a human perspective. It's like people to people interaction. Like America and India kind of go well together here, not just because America is inviting immigrants, but like there is a cultural match here. Like people can fit into this. If you think about like Midwest and everywhere, the Christian values of like, family values and all, they match a lot with a lot of Indian values and how Indian culture has developed. Yes, there are some differences too, but I feel like overall more of America at like how they look at like smaller families and just like more of the Christian values, they're similar to values in India. So I feel like that's the other part, which is a match between India and America right now. So I feel like what I did when I went to El Salvador is to understand those people to people connections and respect for human beings mutually, uh, like, do you respect their culture and do they respect your culture? Do they respect your intelligence and do you respect their intelligence? When you meet different, when you're like in the dating world, when you're meeting different women, it does look like, you look for beauty at the start and you're like, oh yeah, she's pretty, but at the same time what you're chasing is like, is she smart, is she intelligent? You're also looking for other things beyond just like how pretty
Yeah.
someone is. And beauty, maybe just like how I'm describing this, the first thing, the beauty is like, okay, El Salvador is doing great, president is amazing, they are very accepting, and they want high skilled immigrant, and that's like a beauty part, which is very pretty as a story from afar, for someone who's seeking freedom, um, but when you go, is what you are trying to understand is, are these people smart? Can I bet my future on them? Can they bet their future on
Right.
me? Can there be a people to people connection? Can you see this going in a long run where um, these cultures come together and you see people getting married and creating families there? So there are a lot of things that come into picture when it comes to immigration. And I mean, from my perspective, these are the things which I'm usually interested in. That, are these gonna be cultural fit, or are we gonna be like, like sitting in like a separate community and they are like a separate community, and then it's
Yeah.
like not like you are building a country together, you want to build a nation together. So I think that's what I went to understand, and I think my experience was really phenomenal. I felt Salvadorians are very smart, very sharp people. I found they're very good hearted people. Like, the trust that you see in America
Amigos.
is
All
the
our
trust you
amigos.
can
Yeah.
feed. Yeah, yeah, the same trust you can feel about Salvadorian people. So good-hearted, trustworthy people, and they respect. I mean, I wanted to understand: do they respect Indians? Especially when I'm going from an Indian perspective, do they respect Indian, or do they have a preconceived notion about Indian community? And I was like, no, they are genuinely, because we look very much like them. So I was like, they do not have an opinion about like, hey, this does not is not good. And I mean, when I was sharing my ideas and all, I got a lot of respect from them. And when I was even talking to them and they were very honest with me and they were like telling me different things, I was like, I respect them too, just like respect is created genuinely when you meet someone and you're like, okay, yes, I respect this person's mind, honesty, this person is intelligent, all the check boxes are checked. Then I think the other concern that a lot of people have is more around safety, and is El Salvador a safe place or not? And I think safety wise, I think President Bukele has really changed the nation. The country is one of the
Kudos to
most
him. Yeah.
safest place in the West, and I experienced it. I was like feeling, I didn't feel like there was any crime. I just felt like there were all good people. Like, I literally went through a lot of different places and I felt I had a great time. And then I mean, another way to judge a person is like, you watch their videos and just like how they think. And I've watched a lot of President Bukele's video, as like he says himself as a philosopher king,
Yeah.
and I try to I try to understand his thesis and how he looks at the world. And I'm really in wow of mode of this person. I'm like, this guy is leaving a good legacy, and he cares about a good legacy for the world, and he's truly showing through actions those things. And uh, so I was very impressed. So I mean, I feel El Salvador is on the right track. It is gonna be a great country considering President Bukele stays in power. uh, I think local people also have support him a lot. um I think he's just amazing. He's just fabulous. He will be able to turn around
I
the whole
follow
country.
Bukali. I've been looking at his content like for a long time now. I'm a fan, no
Uh-huh.
doubt. I think he turned the murder capital of the world to one of the safest countries in the Western corridor, in the American
Yeah,
corridor. I think that is not a joke at all. And even in what happened to
correct.
Haiti,
Vijay, one thing, your voice is like a little bit
is
breaking
it
here and
break?
there.
Okay, is it breaking? Is it audible right now? Oh, okay.
Yes, yes,
Sorry.
it's
Yeah, I
better
was
now.
speaking on the mic. I was thinking I was speaking on the headphones. Anyway, I'm using it only for the audio. So what I was saying, yeah,
Okay.
Bukali turning the country around from the murder capital of the world to the safest place on the Western corridor. It is no joke, man. I mean, like, I think the world is looking up to it. And even the Haiti incident that happened recently with all the gangs and stuff, he said, hey, bring it on. We know how to solve this problem. So I think kudos to him and what he's doing and turning the country around and people looking to even move there. I think that is a plus 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 for El Salvador, no doubt about it. I mean, like people are always fascinated about okay, how does this whole Bitcoin thing work? Because El Salvador, I think they made it a legal tender in El Salvador. Did you? What was your experience, regardless of whether you exchange Bitcoin or not? What was your general observation of that?
um yeah, I mean, I think there are places in the country where Bitcoin is accepted, and there were Bitcoin ATMs across the country. There was like a Bitcoin beach
Oh, wow.
also where I went nearby, and I think you can make payments there in Bitcoin. um I think country is big on Bitcoin. They since they are like using USD or Bitcoin, these are the two alternates for people, so they are trusting both these countries at this point as like the tender to kind of exchange of value. um I think I am just personally I personally do not have not done much of the Bitcoin, and I am just busy more into
Got it.
AI right now. But I think yes, I saw a lot of places which are accepting Bitcoins. People probably are using it. There were ATMs there. I could see, like, it's like probably the first country that has looked at Bitcoin at this level. And my thinking, why around Bitcoin was like, first of all, it's a bold move to make for a country, and that means you have a bold president who can
Yeah.
make those moves. And considering Bitcoin is doing well right now, that move has proven to be well. You can't say the move was bad. So when the Bitcoin is doing well, which means president made a good move. That's got me excited that they would be very open to have high skill talent also, because they understand they can make bold moves. They have made bold moves in the past to turn the country around, and I very much see that as like El Salvador turns into Singapore of the West down the road, and a lot of people would be able to see that as a
Oh
great
no,
place
can't
down
wait.
the road.
I'm so excited for that. One other topic briefly I wanted to probably, as we are close to wrapping this up. I mean, like one other topic I wanted to see is like, I mean, people call me all the time. I'm in the U.S. and Canada now, close to this is our 11th year. So we have spent a decade and going forward, and people call me all the time from India or especially asking, oh, can I come to Canada or can I come to U.S.? I mean, for studies, right? I mean, like they keep asking me that, I was not really happy to answer that question, but at the same time, I had to be honest and then give them that genuine answer. Hey, look, and sometimes it's like people, kids, they're a single daughter, single son, and I would speak to their parents, and they would say, "Yeah, I'm going to sell my land and then probably send the kids here. I'm probably going to sell my house and probably send the kids here." And you know how the fee structure works here, right? It's probably $50,000, $100,000, pretty easy, right? And some of the kids have already come here, and what they do is they end up working in. And there was a, I mean, like I cannot mention the name, but there was a daughter. I think she was the only daughter, and she was here, and she was literally in tears. And where she said, "Me have never touched or cleaned a toilet in my home country. Here I had to go and do that every single day in McDonald's." So that is that is something that people don't realize in terms of like moving here, and it's they're pursuing different things, and those are certain things I think people doesn't understand. And I think it can be a lot better, and they cannot afford to live here in terms of the cost of living that's happening. Whether it's San Francisco or Vancouver or Toronto, the cost of living is like so high. and they just can't manage it. They have to probably do 2 jobs, 3 jobs to actually manage it. So what do you think would be a future state? I mean, from your experience, what do you think would be a future state in the probably next 5 or 10 years, and where do you think it is headed? And probably we'll get into OpenSphere as the next topic. Yeah,
Definitely. Um, so by the way, on that toilet thing, I mean, I think that's something which we all have to learn after coming to America to clean our own toilets. So I mean, that's not a way
yeah,
out. Um, and I think that's just like I think what it comes probably through a perception about in the Indian
right,
culture about like different duties are in
100%.
different people, and
Yeah, I believe
I
that.
think that's something.
Cleaning the toilet is not a
Yeah,
bad thing.
I
Yeah, that's cleaning the toilet, but it's not a bad thing
yeah
at all. No,
cleaning the toilet is not a bad thing. It's about whether you are able to. The way I look at is like able to find a job that you want to do versus you don't want to do. And all jobs have offer
100%.
different things. So I mean, this person does not find a job that they want to do in the country, and that's what they are trying to
No,
explain through
let
this.
me rephrase my question
Um,
before you answer. I think I
yes,
asked them the quiz question. Why do you want to come to US, or why do you want to come to Canada? Right? In simple question. And I think they are fascinated by all they see in the Hollywood and the Bollywood movies. Number one, and they are always
yeah,
beautiful. And when they see all these pictures and videos, I think it's beautiful. Right? All these countries are really beautiful. The skyline is great. I think that is the that is the fascination part. Probably when you said like when you're in the dating game, you have to look at different things. I think the first level of fascination
yeah,
is a check mark. Probably the number two, number three, number four, that there are areas that has some problems, and
yeah,
they obviously overlook it. Look at, and I think that's where that needs some fixing on it. Sorry, go ahead. Just wanted to share that perspective. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, no, 100%. I think it's just the grass is always greener on the other side. So there is no doubt human beings are like that. We are designed like that. Now to the question about what do I think
The future
about
state. Yeah,
education education in the west side of the world. I mean, I personally think the world is moving really fast right now, especially in this AI age and all. And internet is the new
hundred
America.
percent.
Like internet is the new
Yeah,
America. Whatever freedom people got in America is offered on the internet. It does take time. It does take some, learning about how to master that marketing or anything like that skill on the internet. But I think there is, if you are seeking truth, you would figure out your own truth and be able to monetize it on the internet. I truly believe that. I think it does take time, but given, and I'm telling you this because people are, if you think from a human perspective, people are spending time on the internet. We are recording this podcast on the internet. It's not there is a event happening right now near me, and it's possible that if we just like do an event in person, there might not be as many people who will listen to it than people who will listen to this podcast. It's because human beings are interacting with the internet a lot more than they were doing in the past. So things are happening on the internet. Now, to this person who is looking to do masters, I think different people are in different area about where masters might make sense or might not make sense. Now, that depends on their purchasing power too, like their parents and all. If someone is taking a loan to study, I mean, it's a really hard situation. And if someone is taking a loan and selling their land, it's like a crazy amount of risk.
it's not one or
So
two people.
risk and reward,
Thousands of people do that. I mean, like, yeah,
yeah. I mean, risk and reward needs to be balanced very well, especially if you are even putting your own family's assets on the line to be able to get this education. Especially when I think you can do all that education on the internet right now. And it's funny, I would say you can do all that
yeah.
for free, like $0 cost on the internet to get any amount of education, and you can become anything you want. So it's more about people just like maybe like there's a little escape. And yes, I love that people have this ambition that hey, great life here, and I want to live a great life, and everyone wants to live a great life. There is no doubt about it. But what I mean to say is like there are other ways, there are alternate ways to make come towards the same mission that you want to be here, not through education. Maybe there are better alternates, and maybe it might take longer, but it's going to be more sustainable in a long run. people who came for education, and I'm seeing a lot of people actually going back to India with after waiting to find a job for like 6 months to 1 year. Now these people are going with huge debt back to India, and they have to pay back in INR and look for a job back in India too. It's a global economy, so I mean, if you jobs are hard to find here, same for India too. So it's pretty tricky position to actually think like life is gonna be easier. Life can actually get harder. It's very important to know your personal thing and what value you are gaining in your life from the education, and then think about it effectively. Now everyone is looking for a solution, like a decision that you or I should tell them that whether they should do a yes or no. And that's where it's the most interesting thing, that you and I are not the right people to be able to actually conclude their decision. They are the ones who should make these decisions. We are here to give them information. There are people who have been able to navigate successfully, which happened in the past. The ratio is continuing to go down of people being successful, and people need to know that these are facts too. Like, ratio is going down, less people are finding jobs, more people are moving back. People who have been here for 15 years, they are also moving back. So it is changing the trend. You got to understand the trend. If you don't understand the trend, then you are stuck in the past. So you need to know all those things, and our job is to provide them with more knowledge, and that's what I'm doing, and that's what you are
Oh,
doing.
absolutely, man. I mean, like one thing I cannot agree more is the internet. I mean, you can just learn and be what you want. And there was
uh,
one personal story I'm really happy and proud about. Is like there was a guy and who lost his dad a couple of years ago. And
your voice is
sorry,
breaking.
I think
What
it's
is?
my yeah. Sorry, are you able to hear me? Okay now? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, 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 yes.
So there was a story I'm really happy and proud about. And one thing was like we were trying to hire a person in our offshore team in Bangalore, and we couldn't hire him because like he couldn't speak enough, and he couldn't speak enough into the technology, and also he couldn't speak enough English at that point. But that was no barrier. But I always did like him. But his reference came again, and when I understood his personal story, he lost his dad a few years ago, and he also had lost his elder brother who was providing for the family, and he was gone with a road accident. It was really sad story, and this guy, he ended up working night shift to basically fund his his bachelor's in engineering in India, right? I mean, that's what his story was. And obviously he had a bunch of arrears and things like that. I mean, people go through it, that's fine. But what we could see fascinating is like I spoke to him, hey, look, see, I don't think I will be able to sit with you on a day-to-day basis for 8 hours and teach you something, but here's what I can do. I can probably step by step give you a series of courses and probably a small project, something we can do together, and then maybe you'll be good on your way, right? So this guy probably had a bunch of years. I don't think his family situation or anything. Maybe he had a lot of things he has to finish the engineering thing, and I started sending him courses one by one, all on YouTube, right? Again, all on YouTube, probably like 20 or 30 courses that he finished over a period of 3 to 4 months, and he completed only thing I provided is probably I think I helped him with his internet cost because he couldn't afford it at that point. So I'm nothing to brag, but I'm proud that he was able to finish that, Atul. And in 6 months, I think he got a job in a good like tier two, tier three company for a decent salary. And within 8 to 12 months, he was placed in TCS for probably 8 or 9 lakhs package. And like it turned around, the entire story turned around for his family. And within 2 years, now they're in a much better position where they were. And it's all because of everything that he could learn with internet. And I'm just an enabler here, like you are doing for so many others, right? I was just a small part of it. And I was so happy and proud that something we could do. I don't think this was possible 20 or 30 years ago, what we were able to do here. And like that kid turned around and his entire family is doing a lot better now. Just so happy to share that. And one other thought.
Yeah, no, that's, I think that's where the power of internet comes in. And I mean, it took me also a while to realize that, that you can build online trust, you can build online community, you can build online power through your presence and being authentic and being yourself, that there is so much of value that can come out of it down the road that you don't even realize, because the world is moving to the internet. People are spending more and more time on the internet, and you might be able to achieve all the things that you want to achieve just using the power of internet. And you being an enabler, just like set this person up for great success. And as more and more people in India actually see internet coming their door, which is happening more and
Right.
more now, it's about their choices. It's about their choice about using that internet for uplifting their quality of life, or wasting that time on something else, or like using it for entertainment. They all are making their choice. Like, even if I'm like living, let's say, a good life in comparison to a lot of people in their opinion by living in San Francisco, I still work hard every day. I haven't watched like probably even a single movie in the last 1 or 2 years. I mean, I'm just not into entertainment. I like doing active
Right.
things. So what I'm trying to say is, like, it's not that I can do entertainment all my day because I'm here. It's I'm still choosing to work hard and continue seeking truth and knowledge. So it everyone has that choice, and everyone is making that
Yeah,
choice.
and everyone has the same 24 hours, and it's what they
Yeah.
do with it, right? I mean, and I think that matters a lot. And then just wrapping up the conversation on the people coming to here to the West in terms of like whether it is a right choice or not, because sometimes it's difficult to answer, as you put it. It's not for me, for you or I to say that. And at the same time, what hurts me is that some of these uncles and aunts that I would have known from growing up, and they would ask me, "Hey, can I still send my son or daughter?" Uh, it really saddens me, man, because like the reason, because like I'm already here, and when I say no, I don't think it's a right decision, and sometimes it doesn't sit well with them, because like, oh, you're already there. It's very complicated even to explain it to them. And some kids are really smart. They use the internet to their advantage and they learn it. Oh, this is what is going in America. Oh, maybe it's not a good choice for me to make. Maybe I'll be in Delhi. Maybe I'll be in Mumbai. Or maybe I'll be in Bangalore. Build my startup. Do that. And there are so many kids who does that. So kudos to them. So I think they have to make their own choices and then probably learn a little bit more and what's happening in these developed economies. And these are problems of the developed countries and developed economies that India is yet hasn't seen that phase yet, and it's probably in its early stages, but these are developed problems, advanced problems that probably we are tackling right now. So I would probably have them do more research and then understand it a little bit better. OpenSphere, buddy, tell me about
Yes.
OpenSphere. I think you guys are doing amazing. I know you guys did some renaming, if I'm correct. So it was called Immigration First
Yeah.
before, and to tell, yeah,
Immigrant
tell me
first.
all
Yes.
about OpenSphere, and I think that is going to be an amazing story.
Yeah. So I think initially the way it started is I was struggling with my immigration system as I was talking about it. And what I have learned is you can always turn your pain and suffering into your purpose. And I was like, I'm going to turn this immigration into my purpose. And slowly and slowly, that's what has led to OpenSphere for what it is today. Now we have more than 1,200 immigrants on the platform who are amazing and using our platform for O1 visa, EB1A, EB2 NIW, and they are finding a lot of value, and they can find lawyers on the platform. We have 10 lawyers on the platform. So it's like an AI powered marketplace platform. The way it started is I was using generative AI to write my own O1 application. And I was realizing that generative AI can be beneficial in helping me make better arguments. And then I was like, how can I turn it into a product? And that's where the product has reached now. um, Now where it is going, I'm realizing that there is a lot of value in, just like how I'm able to help US market. I also see I can help people down the road to Canada and other countries in Latin America, or even relocation back to India. So I'm turning it into a global mobility platform where people can find freedom and be able to live their dreams. The exact thesis that I've been preaching to everyone, which I believe in. So I think now it's turning into a more of a global marketplace. I can also help employers manage their immigrant or like global workforce. So I think that's another area I'm expanding into. So yeah, that's pretty much how OpenSphere is going. Platform is doing great. We also have a community now on Discord of around 350 plus immigrants who are like working together on different things. They are working on visas. They're working on kind of like building their startups. We also meet weekly on like people who are building their startups. So that is also a great call
Got
for
it.
me, able to guide people. So I feel like I think the place where I was feeling stuck because of the visa, I don't want anyone to be stuck. So I am here to support them and able
Yeah,
to do
no,
that.
no, that is so noble, and I think even for us to connect, I think that was one something because we went through this. I don't think the future generation should go something like that. It's definitely a noble idea. And in terms of like people to sign up, they can just get on OpenSphere.ai and sign up.
Yes, correct. Open is for AI. Just sign up, and you would be able to get an application for O1, and then you can like get your evaluation done, or like just AI insights. You can book meetings with lawyers. Right now, some of the lawyers are offering free calls, so you can like book those free calls, and down the line, you can like keep getting more value by like just generating your petition, writing your application, and everything through the
So,
platform.
quick question is like if someone is from Europe or India, from anywhere around the world, and if they want to explore this, and if they want to come to America or any other country, so they can come to OpenSphere.ai.
Correct, correct. Yeah, it is for everyone around the world.
Got it. Got it. And I think I've come to the wrap of I think today's conversation. I'd love to keep talking to you for hours together. I'm sure like I'll let you go. Probably this is your second conversation today, so I'm sure you're already packed for the day. So it was wonderful talking to you, Adil. You have any other closing statements you want to make, or any other questions you have?
No, thank you so much for having me, Vijay, and great to be on your first podcast. I can't wait for this to expand and keep sharing this vision forward about helping people. I love how you care about people, and I think we gotta bring more empathy into everything we do. So it's great to see that coming from you, and I'm always here to just like support you and support each other and help people find freedom in whichever way they can and live their
Yeah,
dreams.
go for freedom, man. Thank you. Absolutely, man. My pleasure. Anything
Yeah.
I could do. Thank you so much, Adil. Bye bye now.